Hello, hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to another installment of Cryptic Corner, where we explore the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. I'm your host, Miss Bumblebee, and we are going to be going into more cryptozoological classics today. We're doing a look back at some old sightings and some new sightings, and there's going to be two cryptids, so today's a double header, but they're kind of, you could say they're related in a way, and you'll understand what I mean when we get to them, but let's just dive right in, because I'm ready for it. I got it all pulled up here, and I think you guys will enjoy this one. So this first video I want to watch is really, has this musical intro thing, which I'm going to probably mute, but yeah, anyway. Enough preamble. Which one do I need here? This one, I think. Yep, there we go. All right, so this is a giant moa skeleton. Let's see. That sounds kind of like it might be.
The popular perception of a moa is a long-dead, large, flightless, ostrich-sized bird from New Zealand. In truth, there were 9 species, and they ranged in size from an oversized turkey up to the 3-metre high ones that get all the attention. This, for example, is an appropriately named stout-legged moa, and was about half a metre high and weighed about 50 kilograms.
See, people always think of moas and they think of the tall ones, like he just mentioned, the 3-meter tall ones. They're the tallest birds, like birds. They're paleonaths, but moas are the tallest birds that ever lived. They're not the biggest, though. The elephant bird was like much, much bigger all around, but it's like comparing a giraffe and an elephant. A giraffe's the tallest, a moa is the tallest, but the elephant bird and the elephant, there you go. So, yeah, thick legs. Look at that. Does not skip leg day. It looks like something Jim Henson would make, doesn't it? Doesn't it look like there'd be somebody in there and they'd have an arm out, like a Jim Henson creation, like a Muppet?
The extinction of the species coincided with man's arrival into New Zealand, and the first ones to disappear were, ironically, the large ones.
Well, that happens when people come into any kind of ecosystem, of course. We can wipe out the big stuff first, because we have families to feed, damn it, and that bird's enough to feed a whole tribe. And then their eggs, yeah, breakfast for the whole village.
Prior to humans' arrival, moas were abundant across both islands.
The Maglassi people did the same thing in Madagascar to the elephant bird. So what we say about the elephant bird and the moa, a lot of it can correlate. It's just the difference between New Zealand and Madagascar. They both had giant rat-type paleonath birds. The elephant bird's actually closely related to the kiwi of New Zealand, and closer related to the kiwi of New Zealand than it is to the moa. And the moa is closer related to the emu of Australia.
Best calculations, about 60,000. It wasn't just hunting that knocked them off, either. The widespread practice by Maori to clear forests by burning reduced their habitat as well. What also counted against moa were their breeding habits. They took an unusually long time to reach maturity and only laid 2 eggs per year max, if at all. The eggs were incubated by the male. Examples of complete moa eggs are extremely rare. Any moa that did get to maturity would live to about 50 years. New Zealand birds are amongst the longest living. The New Zealand kakapo holds a longevity record for any bird at 90 years.
So, just to clarify, what he's talking about here is case strategist reproduction, right? Like, it's what you see in most megafauna. Not a lot of megafauna are R strategists, but you know one that was? Sauropods. Sauropods were R strategists. R strategists, the idea is to have a lot of babies that you don't invest much into, right? Individually, right? You don't invest much into them. A lot of the times, the babies will come out as basically like miniature adults too. They don't have like a neonatic stage really. They're just they have all the same wiring and everything, all the same hormonal levels as the adults for their size, right? That is an R strategist. Sea turtles are a good example of that. You know, they just bury their eggs in the sand. There's dozens of them. They hatch. They swim out to sea, and the mother never has anything to do with them. That's our strategist. K strategist. We're K strategists as a species. Elephants are. Most apes are. That means you have, you know, few young that you invest a lot of energy into. And it is a spectrum, right? There's a spectrum between the two. Like you could put something like bears are more of a K strategist, but they do have R strategist features. Like generally, when a bear has 3 cubs, only 1 or 2 of them actually survive, like as a rule. So, and there's birds that'll do that too, but. Big animals that live on islands tend to use this too, because it helps to balance their population with the resources and keeps the species from overpopulating and defoliating the ecosystem, right? So when these animals become trapped on this island, they'll grow to a size and have a reproductive cycle with a nice balance on the island. Yeah, most mammals are K strategists. That is absolutely true. Not all birds are, though. I wouldn't say a cuckoo bird is not a. I wouldn't say it's either, though. Or maybe a cuckoo bird is an R strategist that takes advantage of a K strategist, something like that. You know, I would even say most songbirds and nesting birds are actually our strategists, if you think about it, because they have a nest full of chicks generally. Some bird species are different, but for the most part, like the smaller songbirds. You're a kink strategist, Sumami. What does K stand for? I don't even know. Hold on. I just know the term. I don't even know the origins of it. Oh my gosh. I'm sitting here talking about it and do. What does the K stand for? What is K? It's called K selection. If somebody finds it before I do. Yeah. Oh yeah. It gives examples of it here for like parrots and eagles are K. The cuckoo bird is a D strategist, a dick. Yeah. Well, they don't know any better. That's how they were. That's the world they know. I mean, what is it? What does the K mean? Come on. Klein?Maybe? No. That's going to drive me crazy. Man, I'm going to make you all sit here and watch me research this while we're doing Cryptic Corner. So we're going to go on with the video, but yeah. Somebody find out and drop it in the chat for me.
The moa's extinction process was comparatively quick. Carbon dating indicates 200 years or thereabouts. The science says the last moa walked or scuttled around New Zealand in about 1500. Despite the overwhelming evidence indicating their non-existence, periodic sightings have occurred for a good 150 years, particularly in the 1800s. Reports back then came thick and fast.
I don't know if that's thick and fast. There's 35 years between these two sightings. And then 18 years between these two. And then, man, I'm doing math now. 12 years between these two. So it's not fast and thick. I guess it's fast and thick as far as that information traveling in the 19th century, but As far as modern time, I'd say thick and fast would be within like just days and days. It's a German word. That's why I'm not Kappa Zeta. Thank you for finding that for me. It was gonna eat at my brain. You can moas. The good thing about moas is you can mash them, you can boil them, you can stick them in a stew. They're just versatile, and then the eggs too. Man, could you imagine if we had not driven this thing to extinction and we were able to cultivate it and make it into a food animal, like a domestic food animal, with those thick legs for big old drumsticks, those giant eggs for like freaking family omelets. You wouldn't go and buy a dozen eggs anymore. You just go buy on egg, and then you they'd have like inventions like a spout that you stick in there to pour it into the stove. And the R stands for rate.
Then there was a notable drop-off until
1993.
in January of that year, the world's media was focused on the Arthur's Pass National Park in the South Island of New Zealand.
All right, we're going to take a pause from this video for a second, and we're going to go over here, and we're going to watch the guy do an interview about his Moa sighting.
After stopping for a drink, they saw something they couldn't.
Oh.
It was this bloody huge bird.
Paddy Freeney was convinced they saw something they couldn't believe.
Suddenly here was this bloody huge bird.
Paddy Freeney was convinced it was a moa. He chased it across a stream and managed to get a slightly fuzzy photo.
I had no doubts what it was. As soon as I saw it, this was a huge bird. I mean, it stood about this high, a good metre high at the body, and then this big neck covered in feathers, you know, and a big, big, very definite head on it. You know, I mean...
What about a deer, though? I mean, couldn't it have been a deer?
We've seen hundreds and thousands of deer.
Yeah, so that's, in January 1993, Paddy Freeney, a publican from Arthur's Pass, claimed to have seen a moa in Craggy Burn Range in Canterbury. He strongly denied that the sighting was a hoax. This was the latest in many alleged sightings since Europeans arrived in New Zealand. However, there is no convincing evidence that the moa have existed since about 1550. Yeah. Anyway, back to this video, which is what we're looking at here. This is Paddy Freeney is the last moa hunter. But the thing that I do like about this sighting is that for once, it's not a giant moa. It's not like the biggest species. Just got an alert about something. Did that just come in now? I don't have time to deal with this. YouTube, I'm about tired of your alerts about, hey, you can't do this, you can't do that. Stick it in your freaking crawl space, baby. All right, anyway, back to the moa. So, I like that this one wasn't the giant moa, right? This is would be some kind of bush moa or thick leg moa like what we saw before. Is Maya here? Hey, Maya.
There had been a sighting of a single beast, and with it, a hideously out-of-focus photo.
But that said, that photo could be any... there's a lot of tetrapods that this could be. I'm actually... You don't see my mouse, right? Okay. So I'm actually seeing forelimbs here. And hind limbs here. I'm actually seeing a whole hip here. I'm seeing a deer. I'm seeing the deer. The back legs are behind this rock. Or whatever this is in the foreground. And there's the forelegs right there. And there's the head. I'm seeing a deer. But... like all good cryptids, it blurs the camera.
A hideously out-of-focus photo. The press and public were immediately divided as to the authenticity of the story. A good example of this was the British Ladbrokes betting agency. They put the odds of the sighting being real on the same par as the Loch Ness Monster. That's to say, 1,000 to 1. And the blowtorch was placed upon the three trampers who had made the sighting. The three were Sam Wobby, a Christchurch schoolteacher, Patty Freeney, a publican, and his partner, Rochelle Rafferty, who listed her profession as the gardener at Paddy's Hotel. These were not day hikers. They were vastly experienced mountaineers with decades of experience in the New Zealand bush.
Well, there's no deer native to New Zealand. There's about 12 species that have been introduced to New Zealand. Yeah, so I'm convinced that Bigfoot goes and takes off his fur coat and he's a gray alien underneath, right? That the Bigfoot is just the coat that the gray aliens wear when they're cold. They just wrap themselves up like that, real tight, and just have little eye holes in their warm mask. Yep. Kiwis are so freaking cute. You think it's a kiwi? We'll go back and look if they show it again. Yeah.
The main focus went on Freeney, who perchance was about to take over the local pub in Arthur's Pass. The accusations of it being a massive publicity hoax started immediately and exist through to this day.
Yeah, because homie owns a hotel in the area. Sus, right? I mean, it's sus. I don't think it's a kiwi because I think kiwis... but we'll get back to that. I'll tell you what I think.
The Irish-born Freeney was a no-nonsense sort of chap. Not only had he been in the SAS, he went on to become one of their main outdoor instructors. As the trio's spokesman, Freeney was deadpan about the sighting, even fronted up to a meeting of the local Skeptic Society to answer their questions. Shortly after this report, historic sightings were also announced around Moana, which is about 50 kilometres as the Haast Eagle flies from the Beeley pub.
Miss Lemon, you need to get the hell out of my head. You know what I was thinking about while I was fixing my lash just a second ago? You know what was running? What image was running through my head as I'm messing with my lash in the mirror?
Helicopter companies were soon taking journalists up and down valleys in the national park in the hope that they too could score their own prized photo. The
helicopter pilot that flies people up and down these New Zealand valleys to pay him to see the wilds of New Zealand. Is the one who's telling people that you can come out here and see a giant moa that's extinct.
Went into overdrive. One of those rumours was Freeney and some of his mates were spotted at the Canterbury Museum the week prior, taking a close interest in their stuffed specimen. Apart from the anecdotal reports of the three trampers, the only other piece of evidence...
See, and that's why, this makes me think maybe it could be a hoax, because this is the stuffed specimen, right, that they were looking at just days before. And notice how short its legs are. A lot of people would try to reconstruct a moa as a just by default a long-legged animal, not so short and sitting close to the ground, because they're tall. They're famously tall, but not all of them were tall, which is kind of the interesting part about this one. But this explains why they decided not, or why, if it's a hoax, that they decided not to do the tall one, because the reconstruction that they were observing was a shorter bush moa. And I know we have some experts in the bush out here. Oh, your eyes are giving you trouble, girl. Well, you can just go on listen mode if you want. I do have some that we're gonna do after the moa. We're going to go into the dodo, and there is some videos on that. But other than that, there's nothing to see. Just listen, baby. Lay back and listen, and I will talk you through. And close your eyes if you need to. Just saying. I like the stubby legs. Yeah.
Was that blurry photo? It was pored over by experts, and the reports were varied.
Yeah. Red deer, maybe?
Subsequent testing of the negatives have also been inconclusive.
It almost looks like there's a pixeled out ear up here, too. Maybe. Could just be brown in the background, but I don't know if you brought it into focus.
What are my feelings? They remain the same, as I was in Arthur's Pass exactly at that time. Number 1. To be viable, any species requires about a minimum of 50. Go below that, and it's a slippery slope to extinction. There couldn't have been just one. Logically, it had to have parents to start off with. 1 means 50.
Oh, God, I want to go to New Zealand so bad. Just looking at these pictures. Look at this. Could you imagine standing here and looking at this beautiful forest and waterfalls with snow-capped peaks in the background? Good grief, that's one of the most gorgeous things I've ever seen.
Or more.
Oh my God.
I've already highlighted they were comparatively slow breeders, and clearly Maori didn't have any trouble locating them.
New Zealand does, yes. New Zealand's kind of the land of the weird birds, isn't it? They got the kakapo, the kakoa. They got the kiwis, of course. Let me see. Birds of New Zealand. There's a channel I follow that just does birds of New Zealand. Or don't just do birds of New Zealand, but I will give them a quick shout out. Because they do all the weird... Yeah, Kia is the one I was thinking of. Not... yeah, and there's the Wika. They got penguins. They got the little blue fairy penguins. They got swamp hens. All kinds of flightless birds. They got flighted birds, too. But yeah, lots of birds that can't get off the ground. Islands tend to do that when there's no mammals around. Birds tend to do that on islands. Yeah, let's get Kiwi, Kia, Takahi. I think is how you say that. Various species of penguins that are indigenous. I think there's 2 or 3 species of penguins that visit New Zealand. And some of them even nest in the forest. You got the kakapo, the wika, and the swamp hen. Yeah, there's the kaka. That's literally what it's called. I'm not just making that up. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of cool birds from New Zealand that are flightless that this could be, for sure.
But somehow nowadays...
But I think it's a deer based on the size. It looks like a deer to me.
They've become awfully elusive, evading even hunters with high-powered scopes. Their young also have a canny ability of remaining undetected, and when they die, they do so in locations which means their remains will never be found by a human.
We do find a lot of moa remains, though. Like, lots. There's caves and crevices and stuff that are just full of moa bones. I believe that moas are probably one of the most prevalent megafaunal fossils you're going to find in Australia. Or not Australia, New Zealand. Edit that out. I'm going to cut that out. I'm not making that kind of mistake on here. In New Zealand. It'd be crazy if they find a moa in Australia.
Number 2. To repeat, most moas weren't the ones you see plastered all over the place. And that's a picture of the skeletal remains of a moa, the entirety of which fits inside that box. Now, if you're going to put your money on any of the 9 species surviving till today, and 1,000,000 to 1 seems fairer odds to me, then it would have to be one of the forest floor dwellers, and
Smaller
not
ones,
the
yeah.
6-footer, as was claimed. Number 3. I know Arthur's Pass well. I can get from my house to the Beeley pub in about 90 minutes. I also do off-road trail running. From the time it would take me to get out of my car at this location and up to where it was spotted would be another 5 hours. Incidentally, the Beeley Hotel sponsors and acts as the finishing line for an annual run over Avalanche Peak, which is only 600 metres off the largest in the park. And this is what...
I like that New Zealand still has some glaciers, though. The U.S. has lost, like, most of our glaciers. Most of our continental ice is gone.
the top of that location looks like. You can also walk up there from the Arthur's Pass village with a modicum of fitness. Does this look Moa country to you? Arthur's Pass simply isn't that remote.
I'm thinking if Moas lived, they probably wouldn't live in like an alpine region like this, especially one with no cover. They're big animals. The Moa being tall like it was because it was a high browser. It's going to live someplace where there's trees, right?
Been to a hut there and found it empty. In size, the park is 1,200 square kilometres, which makes it about 10% of Fiordland National Park. And that expanse in Southland isn't 90 minutes away from New Zealand's.
I know. Wouldn't it have been cool if we could go back and tell the Maori, like, do not kill all these birds, farm them and cultivate them. We could have Moa as a whole industry, and we could ride Moa. That's really what I want to do. I want to ride Moa. Maybe they domesticated a Moa, the little Moas, to be house pets. Wouldn't that be great? Have a little thick-legged Moa curled up with your kitties.
Second largest city. That's why the stories of the Fiordland moose still roaming the wilds after their release in 1910 are within the realms of possibility. And incidentally, tramping in Arthur's Pass is a doddle compared to that in Fiordland. And whilst I'm talking about Fiordland, I've got a video on New Zealand's most remotest place. So if you want to find out where New Zealand's remotest place is, take a look at that. Both Wabi and Freeney died in 2012. Freeney stuck to his story until his death. A year later, Paddy was on top of Mount Everest. No, you don't need to clear your ears out. You heard that right. Rochelle, his wife, took his ashes up the world's highest peak on her ascent.
Yeah, we're losing all our glaciers.
Where they were scattered.
Chat, you know.
The Moa statues outside the pub are an ever-present reminder of this cool tale.
I don't know, calling those statues as being a bit generous. They look like they're like, you know, where you take the strings and you dip it in and you put it around a wire frame. That's what it looks like. You dip them in like the solution. It could be like a fiberglass solution. But they're cool looking, yeah. But I don't know if I'd call them statues.
And being a cool person yourself, I know you're going to take 10 seconds to press that subscribe button.
Sure.
Thanks for your time today, and I'll spot you next time.
This was interesting. Interesting things. Because you got other cryptids you're going to talk about. So I'll subscribe to you. Give me more cryptids. Okay. Alright, we already watched that. Now here's a Moa sighting from 2017. It's super short. There's not much here. And I don't find it very compelling. But we're going to watch it nonetheless. New Zealand forest. April 15th, 2017. My thing is that frame right there. Watch right there. Is that a tennis shoe? Okay, I'm sorry, I ruined the whole thing before you even got a chance to watch any of it. I'm so excited to say, hey, here's what I found. I'm saying this is definitely a person. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm seeing a tennis shoe down there. I'm like 85% sure that what I'm seeing right in that frame right there. Oh, see if I can pause it on it. It doesn't want to pause on it. Bitch. There we go, right there. I can see like a white line of the sole of the shoe. So I'm thinking, definitely not a moa. not even a good try, really. But the moa, as far as we know, most likely became extinct between 1440 and 1445 CE. I'm not saying AD. Good grief. This is from 2014. So, yeah, the sightings of a moa are highly unlikely. More recently, though, another giant island bird has been claimed to still be stomping around over in Mauritius, which is a little island off of Madagascar where the elephant bird lived. But this bird is not related to the elephant bird at all, but it's actually a giant pigeon, giant flightless pigeon. Let's talk about the dodo.
By the end of this video, you are going to believe that dodos are alive and well and living in Mauritius. Come join me on this adventure of discovery and proof. By the end of this, you will believe. But I'll make sure that I give you the hard evidence first.
That last part was okay. The before part, you needed to redo the audio on it or adjust the audio on it. There's a dodo emoji? No way.
It all started with this picture. A simple picture I was about to delete off my laptop when I accidentally bumped the keypad and it zoomed in. I've never actually seen that happen before. I didn't even know that could happen. And what I was shocked to see was this dodo. I actually couldn't believe it when I first saw it. I thought, well, what's that? But if you zoom out, it completely disappears. If you zoom in, it completely disappears.
It doesn't
But it
disappear.
just happened that to be on that exact point, there was the dodo. And that's where the adventure began. Mauritius is situated off the east coast of Africa. It's a relatively small island with a few islands around it. The one that's important to us is Coindemir, which is off the north of Mauritius. And it's important because this is where this photo was taken. Coindemir is off limits to people, which is why this would be the perfect place to find
I believe it is actually a bird sanctuary.
a living dodo.
Yeah, that looks like I thought it looked like a taxidermy dodo, if anything, or even maybe a cutout.
I had to go and have a look. This wasn't going to be an easy task. I mean, the word dead as a dodo actually exists. So dodos have been extinct for about 400 years. They were first discovered in the 1500s, and then by 1664, there were no more dodos. There are tons of sites where you can find out what killed the dodo, whether it was people or introduced species, or the fact that they were stupid or smart or flightless, or new information just in. The extinction of the dodo might actually have been caused by a mega drought. Between 500 and 1,000 years ago, there was very little rain falling here, and it killed off a lot of animals, and the dodo might have been one of them. Hundreds of different reasons, you can go look those up. That's not what we're here for. We're here to try and find a living one.
Well,
so our adventure actually begins on...
A lot of factors come into play, but basically, again, megafauna, the closest thing to megafauna on this island would have been the dodo. It's not even really call it megafauna, about 40 pounds, which is about half the size of what we normally consider megafauna. But I would propose that if this is just what happens to the fauna of any kind of island ecosystem that's been isolated and suddenly has copious contact with continental life forms that have evolved in a more competitive ecosystem and are therefore more equipped to deal with the poor naive island fauna without any defenses. Like, so the bird. That's why the birds, they lose the ability to fly because they don't need to escape predators anymore. They can get big because they don't have to fly, and they get big. Rodents will do that too. Get big. Rats get big. We did a rodents of unusual size a couple weeks ago. I think if you didn't see it, it's going to be coming out soon. I think actually probably later this summer that I do that. Finally edited and put out as a standalone. I'm way behind on editing Cryptic Corner videos. It's because for a while there I had those copyright strikes, and I'm like, am I going to have to archive all my videos?
Koindamir. How do you get on an island that's covered in cliffs and is off limits to humans? Well, I guess the best thing to do is send up a drone. This valley would probably be our best bet for finding a dodo. I guess at this point you're probably wondering, what's a smart guy with a degree going after what can technically be a conspiracy theory based on a pretty bad photograph?
It's not technically a conspiracy theory. It is a conspiracy theory.
That was when I heard about de-extinction. Basically bringing extinct animals back to life. What you do is you take some of the genetic material, you mix it into a soup, take the oldest living relative of the animal.
Look at that. Hold on. I'm going to just
mix it into a soup, take the...
This is called a Nicobar pigeon. This is the closest relative of the dodo. It doesn't look a lot like a dodo, obviously. There are some things like the fleshy structures around the beak that they have in common. The dodo had that as well. But the dodo's just got like giantism, basically. It's got a super enlarged beak and heavier body and legs and stuff, but it lost a lot of this colorful plumage that its relatives had.
Oldest living relative of the animal and actually breed the animal back. I couldn't believe it. Someone was actually talking about bringing back extinct animals, and the dodo was on the list. Let's get the drone up, get the footage, get the proof that the dodo exists, and move on with this video. If only it was that simple. This is as good as it got, because this kept happening. It was a complete nightmare. It just never ended. No matter what happened, I just can't seem to get really good footage of Koindamir. Pretty much the Koindamir project was over. There was no way I could actually get footage from there. I couldn't actually search the place. And, well, it just wasn't looking good for finding a dodo.
It doesn't even have the same lighting. Sir. This doesn't even have the same lighting as the background. The lighting here is coming, the lighting on all the plant matter is coming from the upper, well, it'd be I guess it'd be y'all's left too. Yeah, the upper left. And the lighting from the dodo is coming from the upper right. See the lighting here along the back of the head and in the back, whereas the lighting along the trees and stuff is on this side. Lighter green is on the left side, upper left. And the lighter gray on the dodo is on the upper right.
So I chatted to some people and they said, well, it's probably unlikely that the Mauritius government would be able to hide the fact that they had cloned a dodo and it was now living on Koindamir. I mean, yeah, that's pretty unlikely. But, you know, it's still possible. I still want to go to Koindamir. I still want to check it out. But maybe if I can get permission to do it, maybe the government can help me. Maybe one of those helicopter companies can fly us there. We can traipse around, get permission, and see what happens. But at the moment, that's off limits. So I discovered something else. Some footage. And it was footage taken in Mauritius, near Black River, in the forests there. And it suggested that maybe, just maybe, the dodo never actually went extinct, and that it's still here in the forest. I had to go and have a look. Another little sneak peek. I have been showing quite a few along the way, but it's time to actually look at the other evidence we have. So I've got a couple of these videos and a couple of still photographs. Let's start with a still photograph and see what it's all about.
All right, still photograph before he gets his commentary in on here. What I'm seeing is a taxidermy specimen without, it doesn't look like real feathers, and this eye doesn't look right at all. I don't know what it is about the eye. It looks like glass to me, like it's glass.
When I first saw this photo, I was convinced it was real. This was actual proof of a dodo. Then I started looking a little bit closer. Something hinky around the legs, and the eyes just don't seem right. Ultimately, its biggest problem, it's a photograph. We need video evidence. Seems like this project has hit another roadblock. Not only
that scared me. Blue screen of death. Don't do that to me, dude. Oh my gosh, I had eBay for $230 about a month and a half ago to fix my computer. Don't give me blue screen of death.
Can't get drone footage, but now my laptop keeps crashing. I've lost a couple of videos that I can't seem to find. They're just into thin air. The blue screen of death keeps pitching up. It's becoming a little bit of a nightmare. I'm spending time editing stuff only to find out that it didn't save, even though I pressed the save button. I don't want to say it out loud, but maybe this is the dodo curse. Maybe this is why no one has ever actually brought real evidence to bear that the dodo didn't go extinct or is still alive. The ghosts of all the dead dodos must be haunting me. Okay, back to the video. This one was actually shot in the Caribbean, or they claimed it was shot in the Caribbean. There's an iguana in it. The iguana is nice and clear. The dodo's a little bit blurry. I've always loved this one. It's one of my favorite go-to, that when I'm feeling a little bit down, I go and have a look at it and think, these guys did it so well. But then a French television company, produced one to say, oh, it was found in Reunion. So I think maybe the back and forth on this story is what's destroyed it, rather than the fact that it's bad footage, because I still think it is quite good footage. So this is also one of my favorite picks for a dodo video. This is some drone footage. It was taken in 2015. It was filmed flying over a swampy area in the Black River Gorge. It shows what appeared to be 3 dodos running. Let's pause it and have a look. Let's zoom in a little bit. It looks like that.
All right, so here's the 3 dodos. Okay. Yeah, I know that was like Scorpion King level. This guy looks like a Tangelo. Oh gosh. How can you be so cruel, native atheist? Yikes. Windows PTSD is a real thing. Yes. That makes me... It's a trigger. It's like, ah! So... Yeah, these could be birds. I don't know any reason why we'd have to assume they're dodos. Nothing about them screams dodo to me. Their heads don't look big enough in proportion to their bodies, to be honest, for me to say, hey, this looks like a dodo.
Got shadows and reflections, which is quite cool. They sort of dodo-shaped. I just have a problem when they run. They're not displacing water. But it could be a very...
Yeah, and that didn't give you any red flags for some reason? That it looks like they're edited into the shot?
It's very hard to tell. Our quality is not that great. Yeah, we are at the moment of truth. It's very hard to tell. Our quality is not that great. But it could be a very high problem when they run. They're not displacing water. But it could be... We just have a problem when they run. They're not displacing water. But it could be a very hard drone when they run.
I don't think they're really there.
They're not displacing water. But
what a poorly rendered hoax, though. If you're gonna do a hoax, right? At least make it look like the animal instead of just... I'm just not convinced that they're really there. They're supposed to be running through water at high, like suddenly a burst of speed, and there's no movement of the water at all underneath their feet.
A very hard drone. It's very hard to tell. Our quality is not that great. Yeah, we are at the moment of truth. I've been giving you sneak peeks the entire video. But here it is. First time ever on TV, YouTube, whatever. We're about to play it. Roll the cameras. The latest dodo video. Wow. Actual footage of a dodo walking through the forest in Mauritius. Unbelievable. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is show you the full video right from where the camera turned on to, well, you'll see.
It's so cool when a cryptid is so powerful that it can move at a different frame rate than the rest of the video. That it moves at its own frame rate, and that it has an apparent shadow where none of the other, on this overcast day where nothing else has a shadow, because the overcast, the dodo has a shadow.
Well, you'll see.
See that? No. Like, we can't have this thing on camera. Just put it on camera for a second and then have it walk off. You can see the lines, the fuzzy lines where it was like green screened in. I'm actually gonna see if I can't find this asset. Hold on. We'll let him keep talking. I'll be.
Ultimately, I'm not going to look too closely at this video. There is no providence in it, but I want to believe, and I hope some of you out there want to believe as well. I just want to thank everyone for watching. It's been a great adventure. Some ups, a lot of downs, but the final up is what made it all worthwhile.
Baby, I found your model. Right? This is the model. Where's the big... There it is. All right. Like, come on. That... Ah, what am I doing here? No, here we go. All right, so that's this one.
Well, you'll see.
Trying to get him looking the same direction, but yeah, that's probably gonna be as good as we can get. But just mirror this, right? Just mirror it. Doop, 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 doop. That's the same model. Even the little funky little arm wing, which there's no reason why to give the dodo arm wings. It's gonna have pigeon wings rested against its body. Good grief. All right, that's the dodo. What else you got for us? Knocks the camera over, of course.
Ultimately, I'm not going to look too closely at this video. There is no providence in it, but I want to believe, and I hope some of you out there want to believe as well. I just want to thank everyone for watching. It's been a great adventure. Some ups, a lot of downs, but the final up is what made it all worthwhile. I'm glad you could come along for the journey. I do have a couple more great projects.
All right, let's see. You think I should make a comment? Let's see. Oh, yeah, somebody else noticed the frame rate difference. That's the one that jumped out to me about this one when it first appeared. It's like it's not even moving with it, because there was this really bad mammoth video that was very similar to this. Thank you for coming, Catherine and MC. I don't think I've seen you here before, but hello, hello. All right, so there we go. I said I found out your last dodo, I should put video, your last dodo video as a 3D model on a green screen, my dude. Should I put a link to it? Yeah, it's like, it'll probably make my comment not show though, but we'll see. Let's see, here's what I can do. I'll put that there so anybody can go there and they have to manually change it to put the comma, but yeah. There we go. Now I've dropped evidence for your
In the works, but for now, we're gonna check out some foods. Let's go eat.
Alright, yeah, that's all Discount Otangelo has for us today. Well, so we had MOAs. Native atheist. Oh my God. Thank you so much. So much. I really appreciate that. Oh my gosh. The Hive really appreciates that. Thank you. Now I'll go towards getting me some new headphones because these ones are busted. Yeah, there's a big split right there. You can see how it changes directions and it doesn't have any grabbing my head power anymore. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Yeah, the little dinosaur arms are not dodo-like at all. Not pigeon-like. The dodo's a pigeon. It's a passerine. It doesn't it doesn't have little dinosaur arms. Neither does the moa. Neither did Titanus. The terror birds. There's more giant birds, but I couldn't find any other people claiming that they still exist. I looked for videos of people claiming the elephant bird still existed. None. The elephant bird was huge, though, and they think that it was the origins for the rock. So maybe at some point I'll do a Paleo peek about elephant birds. Let me know if you'd like to see that. They laid the biggest eggs that we know of ever of any animal, bigger than dinosaur eggs. They held 2 gallon. They had 2 gallon eggs. 2 gallon. Like you fill it up with 2 gallons of milk. You know that's how big it was. Bigger than any dinosaur egg. Anyway, but I couldn't find anybody claiming it was still alive. Another giant bird was the Mauritius rail, which was also lived. Well, hold on, am I thinking of it right? The Mauritius Reunion rail, the Reunion Island rail. That's what it is. Which the Reunion Island in Mauritius are like sisters, right? They're like right there together. They're about the same size, and Reunion Island had the rail, and Mauritius had the dodo. The reason why the Reunion Island rail didn't get as much press is, let me see if I can find a picture of it. Reunion, yeah, maybe I have to just take the island out. Hold on, because it's telling me. It's telling me about their railway system. Here we go. No, it wasn't even a. So there's a few. Oh, there is a Reunion rail. It's extinct, but I can't find a good picture of it. Let me try looking it up by its scientific name. I'll put a scientific name in right here, so you guys can see what it looks like. Here we go. Not the intro, just a second. There we go. All right. So it looked like this. So it's not real. And there's other rails that look kind of like this too. And they will, and these rails tend to, there's like in the South Pacific and around the Indian Ocean, these birds tend to populate all these little islands, and to various degrees of being able to fly anymore when they're in isolation. But they're extinct. The indigenous species are extinct in a lot of places. But yeah, that's why it doesn't get as much press as the dodo, because it doesn't look quite as unique. Anyway, what other giant birds are there? The elephant bird, the dodo, the giant moa. The ones we have plenty of paleo nafs to go around though, and Australia has 2 species, the emu and the cassowary. The cassowary also lives in New Guinea. South America has the rhea, which looks like a scaled down ostrich, but it's basically the same thing. They look like almost identical. Rheas are obviously a lot lighter in weight, and they come in a few different more varieties of colors. And then, yeah, the ostrich. Rheas still have 3 toes, too. Ostriches only have 2 toes left. Moas had 3 toes as well, and thick thighs. Anyway, that's been Cryptic Corner for you today. If you know of any giant flightless bird sightings, any paleonath sightings where they shouldn't be, any sightings of extinct birds or any other extinct animals from New Zealand, Mauritius, or anywhere else in the world, leave it in the comments. Tell me about it. Let's see if we can't look it up. Yeah, so until next time, remember to be kind. Take care. Mwah. Mwah.